Hey, what's up, everybody? It is me, it is Uncle Sam, and welcome back to Freedom Ain't Free. This is going to be episode number 4. This is our third installment in our Bill of Rights series. Today, we will be covering your 6th through 10th Amendment, part of your Bill of Rights. So let's get into it.
Freedom ain't free. Let's make them pay.
Brought to you by Uncle Sam Presents.
All right, so let's get to the 6th Amendment right here. The 6th Amendment, which is the heart of what we think of a fair criminal trial. It says, in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state, and districts wherein the crime shall be committed, and which district shall have been previously ascertained by the law, and be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, and to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for their defense. So, if you're accused of a crime, this amendment spells out a whole list of protections that you are entitled to. First, you have the right to a speedy and public trial. Boom, right? So you're not supposed to be sitting in jail indefinitely waiting on your day of court, and there's supposed to be no secret proceedings behind closed doors. A speedy trial. There are lots of different ideas and variations of what's considered a speedy trial. It also depends on the amount of motions that are presented, because they may have to be debated. So sometimes a speedy trial may be a year or more. It varies. We have a case going on right now that's got global attention, especially national attention, and in another 2 months, it'll be a year, and the defendant is still having hearings. So, you're looking at over a year for this particular one. Then you have an impartial jury of the state and the districts wherein the crime have been committed. So you have the right to an impartial jury, hopefully, and it's to be made up of people from the state and the district where the crime happened. On occasion where an impartial jury is not able to be found, there may be a relocation of the trial, and you may have a different set of members of the jury. You're entitled, right here, to be informed of the nature of the accusation. The government cannot be vague in the charges. They got to tell you exactly what you're being charged with. On occasion, they may stack more than one charge just to make sure they nail you down. I don't know. Also, you have the right. Let me see. What is it? You have the right to confront your witnesses. Right here, to be confronted against the witnesses against him. Also which means your lawyer has the right to cross-examine those. You should not be cross-examining your witnesses. Allow your attorney. You should have an attorney. You should. Don't do this yourself. Normally it doesn't work out well in your favor if you do so. Also, you have the right to compel witnesses to testify in your favor. The court can actually order people to show up and speak on your behalf, meaning you could be subpoenaed to go speak on someone else's behalf. And if you can't afford an attorney, one will be presented for you. One will be provided for you by the government. That's thanks to the infamous Supreme Court case called Gideon versus Wainwright. That's back in 1963. Simply put, this 6th Amendment just make sure the system doesn't just accuse you, but it proves its case out in the open while you get real help defending yourself. Next, we have our 7th Amendment right here. 7th Amendment is all about your right to a jury trial, but specifically in civil cases, not criminal ones, okay? It says in suits at common law being civil law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20. Remember, 1770s, $20 was a lot of money. till 1970, $20 was, I mean, not as much, but still, I mean, it wasn't little. The right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of common law. So it includes something called the re-examination clause, which basically means that once a jury has decided the facts of a case, a judge then can't overrule those factual findings later. It preserves the jury's role as the fact finder. It has never been formally applied to states courts. It is one of the few provisions that has not been incorporated against the states. So states' rule on civil trials can vary a bit state by state. So make sure to check your own state laws, especially when it comes to civil law and civil courts. Be careful. Don't sign a contract that leads to arbitration. There are horror stories about arbitration courts, absolute horror stories. It's not the same. It's not the same. There doesn't have to be an impartiality there. What is typically said there stays there. It's not a public thing. So always make sure to read your contracts carefully. My suggestion is to stay away from anything that forces you to go to arbitration. Just avoid it. You can win. I'm not saying you can't win, but the horror stories that I've heard from it, they're terrifying. So stay out of that. These are also in case of personal injury and lawsuit. I don't know if I said that or not. Next, let's scroll this down to right here. Remember, I am getting all this just simply from archives.gov. The founding documents, the Bill of Rights. This is a transcript of the Bill of Rights. It has a photo of the actual Bill of Rights, but it also puts it all here in this simple text format. 8 is about excessive bail, excessive fines, and no cruel and unusual punishment. It's pretty simply stated. Bails and fines are meant to be proportional, not used as a way to punish someone before they've been convicted of a crime. Supposed to is the word there. Supposed to, meant to be. They're not meant to bankrupt people over minor offenses. However, the worse the accused crime or the number of repeated offenses, the higher the bail is typically. So obviously murder, theft, violence, things of that nature. They vary and they should. Also, the more times you get arrested, especially for a specific crime, the higher your bail typically gets. Not always, but typically, as it should, in my opinion. So the cruel and unusual punishment part of this has gotten a lot of attention, as it should. It has been a basis for a lot of major Supreme Court rulings. Everything from banning the death penalty for certain crimes and certain offenders to setting limits on prison conditions. So you may have, there's some states that don't have the death penalty. The state of Texas does. My state that I live in does have the death penalty. Even in those states where there is a death penalty, certain people are not allowed to get the death penalty. People that are mentally unable to understand what they have done, that are unable to understand the repercussions or their actions thereof, a lot of times are not put to death. They may be incarcerated for life. They may be incarcerated in a mental facility, things of that nature. Also limits on years sentenced to. You have minimums and maximums for crimes. You have different punishments for those crimes, as you should. Let's get into your 9th Amendment, which says the enumeration of the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. So just because a right isn't specifically listed in the Constitution, does it mean that the people do not have it? Well, the 9th Amendment says no. It says that the listing of certain rights in the Constitution shouldn't be read to deny or downplay other rights that people retain. The Bill of Rights is not meant to be a complete and exhaustive list of all rights. These are just the rights that are to be ascertained for sure. Obviously, we have more rights. We have more amendments. As a matter of fact, we don't just have these 10. So there's more to this. They do add this kind of safety net that is this Ninth Amendment. It tends to come up in bigger conversations about enumerated rights or the rights the Constitution doesn't name outright, but courts still recognize. A couple of these right here. Let's look at the 1967 Loving v. Virginia. It was struck down to ban the ban of interracial marriages. The right to raise your children, the right to contraception, the right to interstate travel. Can't believe that one actually had to been done. There has to be something more to that. Yeah, you can travel from Texas to Oklahoma, from Oklahoma to, I don't know, New Mexico, Colorado, all the way to California, if one so chose. The right to refuse medical treatment, that's important. That's very important. Let's see, the right to live with extended family, so on and so forth. So just because it's not listed in the Constitution doesn't mean that it can't be a right or that it isn't a right. We've got other things that follow up with that. Lots of court statutes and standings that uphold that. So finally, we're going to get into our 10th Amendment. The power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states or reserved to the states, respectively, or to the people. It's a lot of states. This is all about a balance between federal power and the states. The federal government only has the powers it's been given. Everything else is supposed to stay within the states, your counties, or your cities. Trump got into a lot of problems with Democrats, especially whenever he's like, okay, federal government should take a step back. I'm not saying this has actually gone down, but this is something that he spoke a lot about in his first term. The government should step back, let the states take care of what the states should, and the federal government should just be kind of oversight or whatever. Most everything should be handled at the state level, is my opinion. There are times whenever we do need the federal government to step in, but I do believe most of the time that your states should be able to handle the responsibility of its citizens. So remember, I am not a lawyer. If that's not obvious yet, then I'm going to go ahead and say, remember, I'm not a lawyer. You should contact an attorney if you have questions. There's documents online or books that you can read and you can understand and you can know this yourself. And we should take the time to learn more about our rights and our freedoms, and not allow people to oppress you and coerce you into giving up your rights. They're very important. Not every country has the rights that we have here in these United States of America. Our founders set up an amazing framework. Of course, that not all their ideas were necessarily original ideas. There was the England Bill of Rights way back, in the 1700s. The state of Virginia, before the United States was an actual government, had its own Bill of Rights. When the founding fathers originally wrote this Constitution, there were people, important political people, that refused to sign this document until there was a Bill of Rights. And so it was a very important add-on and addition that was really needed and required, and is super important for us, even still today. So these last 3 episodes have all been about our Bill of Rights. The first 10 amendments of our United States Constitution. Just even that, knowing that there are amendments to it should let you know, hey, this is not an indefinite thing. There were things that were added. I think some of the things that were added are necessary. There are some things that, like, even Prohibition at one time. What was it, the 19th Amendment or something, 19th or 20, which obviously got repealed for good reason. Even though I may not drink myself, especially like, I mean, I used to drink a lot. I believe it's up to the person. You should have the freedom to say yes and the freedom to say no, which is super important. It's a lot like our free speech. I'm okay with people saying things I don't agree with, because I want to be able to say things that other people may not agree with. More than likely they're not. All right, I love you guys. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all those fun things. Please support me. All you gotta do is click the like button. It's really simple. Feel free to share the channel if you want. You can check out all my videos at unclesampresents.com, which will take you to a YouTube page, so don't freak out. Yeah, so remember, freedom ain't free. Peace. Hey guys, don't forget to set your notifications. This video was originally uploaded from Freedom Ain't Free 1776, an Uncle Sam Presents video. Copyright 2026, Uncle Sam Presents.